Hello, boy. Don't usually see you this time of the morning. Got nothing to feed you, I'm afraid. Do you think I could get him to help me with my paper round? I'll pay him wages, apple a day.
Might be glad at job. Waking tate's going on, so he's likely to fence a pair of us off from Heritage Farm any time.
Is she giving you trouble?
Aye. Aye. I give it advice, but never grow old. It's the worst crime you can commit these days.
Sorry to call on you so early, but I wanted to catch you before you went to court.
It's very good of you, Eric. I can do with the company. I'm really dreading this.
Perhaps a little Dutch courage might help, eh?
Ooh, it's a bit early.
Oh, come now, Alan. Come on, we shouldn't have any pretense between us. Neither of us is a heavy drinker, but I'm sure we appreciate the value of a stiffener from time to time. Go on.
Well, it might help to relax me a bit.
Exactly. And where's the harm in that, eh? Here's a glass.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Oh, yes, I must admit, I feel better already.
No, you keep it. You might feel the need of another one later. Coals to Newcastle, eh? Me giving scotch to a publican. Still, it's the thought that counts, eh?
And much appreciated. Yeah, you've been very good to me these past few weeks, Eric.
Oh, pleasure's all mine, Alan.
I might be a bit late home tonight.
Guess as much. Expect you got a lot to do setting up this motorbike rally on Thursday. Who have you got doing your catering?
Never you mind. You're supposed to be thinking about work.
Couldn't help it. You got an ad on the local radio. I heard it in the bath.
You're forgiven then.
Sounds very exciting, especially the older bikes. I was tempted to come along and try one for myself. Only joking. I'm concentrating all my efforts on getting better.
I don't want to see you there.
I know. I reckon, with your help, I should be fit enough for the wedding by Christmas. That's my target.
I don't think we ought to be setting targets, Frank. We don't want to put any pressure on you. Better to just see how things go.
You're the boss, but I still bet they'll be playing carols at the ceremony.
How do I look?
Great.
Oh, I don't feel it. I'm scared stiff.
How many more times? You're not the one that's on trial.
Well, it doesn't make it any easier. I just started to feel better about things. Now I've got to dredge up all those awful memories.
Look, it'll all be over with after today.
For me, maybe. I just hope Alan Turner doesn't hear anything that's going to send him even further downhill.
Well, you did your best to persuade him not to go.
I love you, Vic. It's only 8:30, you know.
Which means you've got to get a move on or you're going to be late.
I've still got some homework to finish off.
We'll do it on the bus. I always did. Anyway, it's your own fault for leaving everything to the last minute.
Oh, my fault. I was working in a shop last night and I had my round this morning. That's exploitation, cheap labour.
Scott, your mum's in court today. Hasn't she got enough on her plate without seeing her only son smashed to a pulp in front of her eyes?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mum. Good luck. Thanks. Well, I better be off or I'll miss my bus.
Hey, I don't care if it is only 8:30. I love you too. And I'll be thinking of you.
Thanks.
Scott!
Well, I suppose I ought to be going, really.
You still worried about it?
I must seem the most awful coward.
Would it make you feel any better if I came along with you?
Well, I can't ask you to do that. You've got your own work to do.
Yes, well, I do have some rather important bits of business I can't really put off, but I suppose I could rush through them.
I would appreciate the support.
Right. Well, I'll come over to the court as soon as I've finished.
Thank you, Eric.
See you later.
December. Right, I'm off up to the Heritage Farm.
Enjoy yourself.
You'll be right on your own.
Of course.
Well, I fixed up with the car company that they've got a car and driver available whenever you want. So if you want to go somewhere, just call.
No, I think I'll have a nice, relaxing day at home.
Probably best.
No need to worry about me. I'm not like Chris, you know. I'm really looking forward to a bit of time off. I'll be able to catch up on all the things that I've always been too busy for.
That's the spirit.
I've collected up all the books that I've meant to read but never got round to.
It'll take you a while to get through that lot.
There's plenty of time. Could you post this for me? I'm sending off for a Spanish course. I know I should be taking it easy, but if I can master a European language, it'd be good for when I get back to work.
Frank, rest and recuperation does not have to be managed, programmed, or time-tested. You just enjoy doing nothing. Like lying on a beach in the sun, listening to the waves lapping on the sand. OK, I'll post it. Just don't go taking on too much.
No chance. I'm going to sit here with my feet up and let you do all the hard work.
I shall see you tonight.
Morning, Viv.
Hi. I've just seen a barrister. The case might be delayed a bit.
Well, courts always seem to run late, don't they?
Yeah. There's a canteen down in the basement. Fancy a cup of tea?
I haven't long had breakfast. I think I'd rather stay here.
This place gives me the shivers. Might be easier to relax over a nice cuppa.
Well, you go ahead. Don't worry about me. I feel much better about the whole thing. Eric's been very supportive. He's going to come and sit in the public gallery with me later.
Well, that's good of him.
Well, he should be here soon. He's just got a few loose ends to tie up at work.
Right. Well, I'll see you later.
Councillor Hawkins, please. Eric How kind of you to remember. Thank you. Jim, the situation with Betty Eggleton has been resolved. Yes. She will now have to sell that strip of land. Fine.
Used by September 92? Well, that can go. What's all these do?
Oh, I'm not disturbing you, am I?
Oh, it's okay. Come in.
Kim's asked me to check to see if the flowers need freshening.
I don't think they've wilted yet, but I might.
Are you bored?
A bit. How's that lovely daughter of yours? Sit down. Tell me all about it.
I've not really got time to chat, Frank. I've got loads of preparation work to do for the rally on Thursday.
How's it going? Kim's told you not to talk to me about work.
Yeah. Look, can I make you a cup of tea before I go?
I'm quite capable of making my own tea, Nick, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Go on, you better get back to work. I've got plenty to occupy me here.
I'll just go put these in the hallway then.
Neither of you let me copy last night's maths. Otherwise I'm in big trouble.
Scott Windsor. Our little talk last week doesn't seem to have got us very far, does it? You can't get your friends to do your exams for you when the time comes, can you?
I'm sorry, miss. I just forgot it. I'll nip home at lunch and get it.
I wish you would try and understand that we're all here to help you. You're a bright boy. You're just underperforming this term.
Yes, miss.
Perhaps it would be a good idea if I had a chat to your parents. See what they think's causing it.
Do you have to? My mum's given evidence today. She won't want to be bothered.
Yes, I can see that might make things difficult.
So can we just forget about it?
No, I don't think so, Scott. It's much better to get the situation sorted out before it gets any worse.
Yes, miss.
But I'm not planning to do anything official. Just an informal chat when the opportunity arises, as a neighbour. And I'll ask your mother whether you popped home at lunchtime for the homework. Eric's still not here.
Oh, he's been very busy lately. He should be here soon.
I really do think it'd be a much better idea for you to go home.
Oh, don't start that again.
I'm only trying to help you, Alan.
Why are you so anxious for me not to hear this case?
When you and Shirley got married, I wasn't very kind to her or about her.
I'm aware of that.
Well, I'm not proud of the way I behaved, especially since it took something like this to teach me how wrong I've been. We went through the most terrifying, humiliating experiences together, things that are going to haunt me for the rest of my life, and that's not how you want to remember her. It'll only end up haunting you too. Believe me, Alan, it's much better to remember the happy times.
Mrs. Windsor?
Oh, that's the prosecution barrister. Really means things are starting to happen.
I'm sorry for the delay, but we're almost ready to go now. Perhaps you'd like to come this way?
Good luck.
Thanks.
Is it all right to come in?
Of course it is. Glad you called.
Only Kim said you hadn't to be bothered when you're resting.
Kim and I are going to be late coming back tonight with all the activity at the Heritage Farm, so we can have a good old natter. Sit down.
I won't want to go against doctor's orders.
You just said take it easy. And as you can see, I'm trying to work out how you do that without getting bored out of your brain.
It's not much fun when they won't let you work, is it? That's what I
You
was...
fish, don't you?
Sometimes. Why?
Good, relaxing hobby. What do you reckon that date is?
It's either 88 or 33.
Either way, it's past it. Maybe you and me can go fishing together.
I want to talk about Game Farm.
Kim's sorting all that out now.
I know that. She just offered my job to David Glover.
I see.
My used to boss, though. So she'll have to listen if you talk to her.
I doubt it, Seth. And I'm not going to try. Firstly, I promise I'd never interfere with anything she does. And second, she could be right.
I'm best gamekeeper in county.
Probably. But there comes a time when you got to slow down. When we've all got to slow down. I never thought I'd believe it either, but I learnt the hard way. So forget about the game farm and let's sort out this fishing trip instead.
I'm not ready for being turned out to grass, even if you are. Never thought I'd see it day when you let some slip of a girl boss you around. Why don't you take up knitting? That's relaxing.
You're upset, Seth, so I'm going to forget you ever said that. But I think you better go now.
Don't worry, I'm going. Only just remember, if this comes to a battle, she fired first shot, not me. And she's going to regret it.
Now, I'd like you to tell the court, in your own words, about the events that began on the morning of the 24th of May, Mrs. Windsor.
I was on my own in the shop, and
I'm sorry, Mrs. Windsor. I realize this must all be very distressing for you, but it would help the court if you could speak up a bit.
I'm sorry. I was on my own in the shop. I was stacking shelves when suddenly 3 masked men burst in with baseball bats. One of them grabbed me and put his hand over my mouth and told me to stay quiet. I've never been so terrified in all my life.
Now, you've stated that the men were all masked at the time. Did you subsequently see their faces?
I didn't see the one that got away in the car.
But the other two, you saw them?
Yeah.
And are you now able to identify the man who grabbed and threatened you on that fateful morning?
Yes. It's him, the accused.
Seth, I've been looking everywhere for you. Kim wants to talk to you.
Seems since at last, has she?
No, I don't think so. It's about the motorbike rally. She wants you and Samson doing rides for the kids.
Huh.
Look, I'll help you get it all organised. She wants it setting up by the Lost Children's tent.
Oh, so I'm a nanny now, am I?
Oh, don't let's row about it, Seth. She's in a right mood. She's already bawled at me twice.
She's not going to get a chance with me.
Seth, what are you doing?
I'm leaving this place permanently.
Oh, look, don't be daft. Now you know you're not going back to the game farm. You need this job more than ever.
Aye. Well, how long do you think it'll be before she decides I have to opt for this and all?
Oh, look, Seth, don't do anything too hasty. Look, stop, will you? Let's talk about this.
I'm not getting her pleasure of sacking me twice.
You're just angry that you're not going back to the game farm and you've not thought this through properly. Seth, what are you going to do without a job, eh?
It's better I don't tell you that.
Oh, no, you're planning something, aren't you? I don't like the sound of this. You better talk to me about it.
What you don't know, they can't blame you for.
What are you up to?
They call it revenge.
Oh, no, you're not thinking of taking on the Tates, are you?
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't.
One? I'll give you three. Money, power, influence.
And none of that's any good to them if I just grand we're fighting on.
He was aiming the gun and then he fired. I didn't know what happened at first. Then I saw the blood. And I knew Shirley had been shot.
Now, I'm sorry to press you on this, Mrs. Windsor. I do realize how painful it must be for you to remember, but my learned friend here is seeking to suggest that the accused was not party to the murder of Mrs. Turner or your kidnap. So I must ask you, where was the accused when Mrs. Turner was shot?
He was there in the room. We were all together, Reg, Colin, me and Shirley.
So it was after Mrs. Turner's death that the accused made his escape from the building?
Yeah.
Leaving you, a defenseless woman, with a man he'd just seen commit a vile and terrible murder.
Yes.
And throughout this ordeal that you and Mrs. Turner suffered, the accused was himself armed with a revolver.
Yes.
And yet he made no attempt to restrain Dawson. Not even to prevent him committing murder.
No. Except to tell him to give himself up.
There were armed police surrounding the building at this time.
Yes.
So it was only a matter of time before he was in police custody.
Yes.
Now, if he was really concerned about you, he would hardly have abandoned you at that moment, would he?
No. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, all I could think of was Shirley. She was so still. I knew she was dying, but there's nothing I could do.
Are you able to go on, Mrs. Windsor?
I'm sorry. It's just that she was so brave. She tried everything she could to stop Reg tagging me, and in doing that, she lost her own life. If it hadn't been for her, I know I never would have survived. I owe her my life.
If your lordship agrees, I think it will be appropriate to adjourn for lunch to allow Mrs. Windsor to compose herself.
Hello, boy. Glad to see someone still likes me.
Scott, stop messing about with that horse and give us a hand, will you?
Take some advice from me. Don't go anywhere near the shop. Dad tries to sell anything that isn't nailed down.
Come on. Right. There you are. Got yourself a real bargain there, madam.
Thank you.
I'm not giving no guarantees.
Samson? Come on, lad. We've got work to do.
What's she doing back home, anyway?
Oh, I just forgot my maths homework. I'll go back in a minute.
Hi. I'm sorry I couldn't get here earlier. Been thinking about you all day. Hope it hasn't been too much of an ordeal.
No, not for me. Poor Vivian. She got very upset giving her evidence just before lunch.
Poor girl.
It was all very harrowing. But I hope I'm not being callous when I say that what she had to say was a great comfort to me.
What was that?
But it confirmed that even at the end, Shirley was putting other people before herself.
Yes. Well, she always did. Look at the way she devoted herself to the drop-in centre.
I'm just sorry that Vivian had to go through all that to remind me.
It does seem unnecessary. It's an open shut case, surely. I mean, he has pleaded guilty.
No, to armed robbery, but he's denying kidnap and murder.
I suppose he's trying to put the blame on that psychopath that was married to Viv.
But the prosecution won't let him get away with that. Come on, he should be giving his evidence about now. You know, Eric, I'm not a vindictive man, but I want to see him punished after the sickening things I've heard today. I'm just sorry they've abolished hanging.
Now, Mr. Long, you've already admitted your part in the robbery of the 24th of May of this year.
Yes, sir.
And yet you claim not to have been involved in the planning of the enterprise.
That's correct, sir. Reg Dawson planned it. He just recruited the rest of us.
But you were aware of the nature of the job?
Yes, sir.
You knew you were going in armed with baseball bats and handguns?
Yeah, well, that was Reggie's idea as well. He provided all that stuff.
But you all carried them, so you must have been expecting violence.
Yeah, well, we didn't want to hurt anyone. We just wanted to get in, get the money and get out.
I put it to you, Mr. Long, that it was always the intention to take Dawson's ex-wife hostage.
Of course not. I didn't know he was going to take anybody hostage, did I?
But you knew it in the post office when you threatened Viv Windsor. You knew it on the highway when you held her and Mrs. Turner at gunpoint.
Got him. Well, I was a bit frightened of Reg, you know, what he might do to me if I didn't help.
Well, the jury may feel it would have been better if you were frightened for the safety of your hostages.
Well, I had intended to get them away when it was safe.
How? By dragging them across the countryside at gunpoint? By holding them captive and terrified at home farm? By standing and watching Dawson murder Mrs. Turner in cold blood?
It wasn't like that. It's not like he's making out.
Well, then perhaps you'd better tell the jury how it was, Mr. Long.
No. Must take it easy. She can do that. Wow. Another hour. Must be time for a cuppa, Peggy.
Well, obviously, I'd have never agreed to do the robbery if I'd have known what Reg was really like.
Oh, come now, Mr. Long. Are you telling the jury that you expected Dawson to behave like a Sunday school teacher during the crime?
No. I mean, I know he'd done a few post offices and banks. What I didn't know was he was insane.
Ah. So between agreeing to the crime and executing it, you became qualified to make such a diagnosis, did you, Mr. Long?
I didn't need to be qualified. We could all see it. And if Shirley was here, she'd tell you the same. And if Shirley had realised sooner, she'd still be alive now.
What do you mean?
Well, she started giving him the come on to quieten him down.
I think you'd better explain that remark to the court.
Well, she pretended to fancy him and he fell for it. She really got him going. And then after he'd slept with her, made him even worse.
Excuse me, Mr. Long, but are you saying that Mrs. Turner slept with the deceased?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she did. And it made him worse. And that's when he killed her.